Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. What is sentiment? If somebody says they want good vibes only, or somebody says sentiment, are they related? Of course they are. You know what we're doing on this channel. We are looking for our definition of sensorality. Sensorality is a word. The syllables represented or contained within sensorality are fundamental, along with every other word. The syllables are fundamental, not the words themselves. And so we're trying to produce a new physical axiom from the analysis and empirical evidence of words. And so what is sentiment? Sentimentality is synergetic, right? If someone says they want good vibes only, if you're at a party and someone comes in and they're bringing the vibes down, or they're a buzzkill, you know, they're not synergetic to the sentiment of the party. And so, well, as we've discussed, and as is overwhelmingly apparent if you think about it, that sentiment or consciousness is collective. And so sentiment, what's the relationship of sentiment and consciousness? Right, you have to be conscious to have sentiment, right? I think, therefore I am. No, you are, therefore you can think. But what was I gonna say? Consciousness is sentiment, and consciousness produces consent, right? The chair, the leaf over there, it cannot consent to doing something. And so it's very inherent, the human species, any species, this concept of willfully choosing to do something as opposed to being forced to do something. But some instances that I'm sure you've had that showing you that this collective sentiment and consciousness is a group and you're more like a satellite as opposed to generating it is, right, if you've ever been in a car ride and maybe it was someone that you know well, or you know you have a history with, again, not good or bad, you've had the experiences with them, you've went on trips, you've been a work colleague, whatever, and you're in the car and a song comes on or you're thinking about something, and then right as you're about to say it, the person you're with says what was exactly what you were about to talk about. Right? That's an instance, and everyone's experienced that. That's an instance of quote-unquote telepathy or collective consciousness or shared universal experience. And so it's everyone has the same life experience. Everyone's happy or sad. Everyone wants to have a career. Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants to make choices and travel and date or have a family. Right? We all have the same aspirations, whether you're a German or an Australian or, again, just picking random countries. But the point is, the experience of being a living being, particularly a human being, is universal amongst all other human beings or living beings. But very fundamentally, consciousness produces consent, the ability to engage in activity by your own volition. Traction, distraction. Right, we talked about traction. Do you need friction to have sensation? And of course you do. But people will say, if you're talking about something and someone says, oh, you've gotten me off track. Oh, you went on a tangent. You changed that subject. You redirected the logic. But I guess another dichotomistic pair, traction, clearly related to friction, but then distraction, right? Same word, and you just have that negation function, dis, and then traction. And so, right, a distraction gets you off track, and then me personally, again, this is another one, just interesting base pairs. I've shown you enough where it's like, there's nothing else to say, but it's clearly like two words that you haven't really associated, at least I haven't, and I'm betting you haven't either, but traction and distraction. Speciality distracts sensorality, right? When you're all in the heat of the moment, whether it be, speciality specific to, again, sexual antagonism, in the heat of the moment for a guy or girl you really like, I'm sure a lot of people out there have made decisions they're not all that proud of. And so that's speciality distracting sensorality. Sensorality adds, speciality subtracts. To diss someone is to disrespect them. And another thing that's probably pretty obvious, but just connecting, showing our expansions, right? In English, if you speak English and you diss somebody, it's just short for disrespecting them. Speciality is subjective, sensorality is objective. Adjective, projective. So what is this base jectivity, right? Adjective, subjective, objective, projective. What is this project, but what is this jectivity? Jectivality. But sensorality is projective, right? I'm literally speaking out loud. I'm projecting my thoughts. And I talked about how Sigmund Freud had the most encapsulating conceptualization with projection, which that is demonstrably true I think, without really any debate. But projection isn't good or bad, right? I'm projecting my voice, I'm speaking, right? I'm talking about my experience. And so you can project, typically I use it in a negative connotation, like someone's really insecure, it's the person that accuses their partner of cheating all of the time, and they're the one that's actually cheating, right? That's projection in a bad sense. But me saying the weather's nice outside or I'm in the park, I'm still projecting, it's just a statement of fact. But sensorality is protective. Sensorality, protectality. The future is always unique, right? The past is always set and the future is always unique. It simply hasn't happened yet. The present isn't well defined. That's why history often rhymes but never repeats. Again, connecting it to another cliche, another phrasing that you've heard, not from me. History often rhymes but it doesn't repeat. In other words, the future is always unique. See how that literally rhymes. So we're showing you this connection because we're getting back to everything's differentiated. Now we're like again consolidating, uniterating, undifferentiating, sorizing, and that's where sorality is going to come into play. But that's a direct logical connection, and you can even hear the rhyme in that, which is pretty cool. Quality, qualified, right? The quality of something is its essence. If you're qualified, what are you saying? Right, that candidate is qualified for this position. Well, he has a nice essence, or he's capable, he's competent. Sensorality qualifies, speciality is unqualified. Intuition is proportional to experience. Does anyone really hate anything? This is another really poignant thing. Right? People will say, oh, I really hate Johnny, or I really hate Susie, I really hate the Jews, or the Muslims, or the Christians, or who the fuck ever. Do people really hate anybody, or hate anything? Or is it just a state of insecurity and unawareness because they haven't had an experience? They don't have the intuition that the person with the hijab on or the burqa on is just another person under a different clothing garment, right? Is it really that different? Is it really that bad? Do people really hate one another? No. Are they insecure? Are they uneducated? Are they uninformed? Absolutely. Go read a history book. It's painfully obvious. That's the fun fact, is we don't have a society that's literate. We just play sports all day and compete over nothing. I love life. But obviously that's intuition is proportional to experience. No one would debate that. Sensorality is somaticality, right? Somatic, we talked about how it relates specifically to muscularity, but sensorality is muscular, sensorality is somatic, speciality is automatic, sensorality with a C is automatic. Just working through these definitions. Is anything permanent? Nothing lasts, pony boy, or everything golden, or something like that. The greasers, or I don't even fucking know. You get what I'm saying. That's how close you have to be with a reference for everyone to get what you're saying. Nothing lasts, pony boy, or golden. I feel like the word golden is supposed to be. Nothing golden lasts. Whatever. But no, nothing is permanent, right? All black bodies radiate. We're all going to live and die, right? Okay, well, I've been reading my history book, and I hope I get allowed to publish. I'm almost finished with the papyrus read through. Again, specifically for scholarship. I don't care if I make 1 penny off of a book I like to read. But like they're talking about, going from books, from papyrus to codices to written books to the internet, right? So does anything truly permanent, right? No. Right? This planet will go away, the solar system will go away. Will our knowledge go away? Locally, yeah. Does knowledge go away universally? No. Is it bounded? Yes. Can we say anything more useful? No, I can't, not right now. But no, in general, nothing is permanent. Not your words, not your life, not nothing. And that's really like the seed of where nihilism comes from. As you can be the most productive member of society and you're still not doing that much. You can be the least productive member of society and you're still not damaging that much. And so nothing is really permanent. And yeah, that's about it. What is the relationship of permanence and relevance? Right? The news, the words I'm talking about. Right? Why is improvisation more poignant than scripted? Why, when you go watch your YouTuber, maybe it's me, it's definitely not me, nobody watches my shit. And it's not even like I don't make these videos, I make these videos knowing damn well there's 0% chance of organically growing because all of my shit is watched all of the time. Like literally all of the time. But all of the words I'm saying, everything that anybody is talking about is what's relevant. And so it's like, The things that are relevant to us, again, are just novelty, good or bad. If someone does something extremely violent, it's on the news. If somebody does something extremely good, like solving all of physics, well, we somehow sequester that and censor that pretty directly. But the things that become more relevant have the desire to be more permanent. We want to remember the things that have impacted us the most. But in reality, the things that are most relevant are just the things that have novelty, that aren't boring in the most literal senses, that just stimulates us and makes us think about something. It's the train wreck that everybody watches that can't look away from. And so nothing is permanent, and the things that are relevant are the things we kind of wish to be permanent, I guess. But how's another one, right? How about decadence or extravagance? Now getting back to more direct fundamental physical ontology, right? Particles decay. What is decay? Right? Decay is decadent. And so, right, if you said something that's decadent, it's more of like decorative or lavish, or, Trump's ballroom is decadent. It's extravagant, it's luxurious, I think is a good word. But again, same with like the Alexander's library. And I'm talking about this in a strictly scientific sense. Like, why do people want opulence? Why do people look for these grand things? It's because of that desire for permanence, right? Solomon's temple, the Library of Alexandria, Trump's ballroom, over in Russia, the Kremlin. Whatever landmark you have or things, it's just this desire to be preserved forever, and you're just not. Like, that's which if you're not arrogant, it's extremely freeing. It's like all of the things I do in my intellectual projects, I just treat as like I was a high schooler, and just I'm doing something fun, I'm exploring intellectually. Granted, I literally do have a math subject in my head, but none of my projects are that important to me, none of them are not important to me. It's just, I'm a monkey on a rock doing the best I can with my life. And it's very, very true. Because people are going to call me smart one day, and then it's going to be like, oh, it's like easy. I have the same 24 hours you do, I have the same bullshit that happens in my life, I shop at the same store, I do all the same shit that everybody else does. But specifically to the word decay and decadence, right? Cadence, right? Rhythm is cadent, right? There's a cadence to flow when I'm reading something out loud, and that's why I like to read books out loud, is because when I'm reading, right, there's some sort of this appeal to Aristotle, this great intellectual, or this ancient Greeks as this intellectuals. I'd rather read Irene Vallejo's opinions, because again, the universe builds, and so specifically to scholarship in the academic sense, with my ability to analyze language, books written by academics are the most poignant things for me to read. Granted, I might read 400 pages and maybe one paragraph really sticks out or a couple facts stick out, but at this point in my life, that's all that's left. I mean, it's a small world and people don't talk about that many different things because we all have the same type of experience. And so, decade, right, cadence, right, that's another one. It's a mixture between, right, decadent, cadence, but then it also expands out into decade. And so then we see this numeric emergence again of our base 10 number system. Efficiency built on CN, and then decadence, a decade, is like right in there too. And so speciality is decadence, sensorality is cadence. What is decay? Right? Permanence does not decay, but everything decays. And so, right, decay is decadence is emergent from entropy. What is the relationship of chance and randomness? Last time we asserted, like, it's evidently true, that randomness doesn't exist, cannot exist, because we're all connected. Every physical system is connected to one another. So if I move my body right here, right now, it 100% affects the motion in Centaurus B or the next galaxy over. Does anybody feel it, or does it affect it in any consequential way? No. Is it sufficient to affect its movement? No. But does it? Is it a non-zero value? Truly, yes. Chance and randomness, you would say, is proportional. Again, this definitely seem intimately tied. Randomness is proportional to distance. Right? The further you are away from something, the less impactful it is to you. Uncorrelation is related to distance. Now, how do we negate correlation? Because I felt like Sean Carroll at Caltech putting uncorrelated. I felt like I created my own word salad immediately. But uncorrelation is related to distance. The further you are away from something, the less its motion affects yours. Same with weather and emotion as well. Belated is late. Again, another one of these natural logical definition things where if you're happy belated birthday, it's, well, you missed his birthday, so you're late. And so literally belated is late. Don't know why, but it's there. Again, some aspect of either going in the forward, the expansion direction, or the contraction. We've already done the contraction. That was the thinging, the most simple sentence you can say. And now we're expanding it back out. Some of these steps I can't formalize as to exactly what I'm doing. But here you go, science team. Biased, based, right? Talked a lot about base and basis. Basis is now set. It is as is, literally with a B. And then this iteration with this letter I representing E or not representing E was hugely important for speciality. But it's very clearly, again, that I, it doesn't represent the E sound in this instance, but you add I to based and it's biased. Right, so you're not based if you're biased. Look at me, I have motion. 6'7", Woody, you know what I'm saying. Speciality is biased, sensorality unbiases. Sensorality makes sense, speciality is nonsense. What is small is bounded, and what is big is unbounded. Whether you've realized it or not, we've completely described the quote-unquote quantum world. And there we see our irreducibility of word again, right? Mechanics, you don't have different types of mechanics, because scale is indiscriminate of size. Fractals exist. And so you don't have any sort of different proportionality or mechanisms, mechanics, happening at quote-unquote small or big scales. But we've definitively described and mapped what is small, and what is big is still a what the fuck. Truly. And so small is bounded, big is unbounded. And sensorality is accretive, right? Accumulate, grow, accelerate. We're building, the universe is expanding. You have an accretion disk in astronomy. And so that is where our derivation ended up today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.